boned up on the comics when they came, but I'm not in the comics, so I didn't know if that was the right thing to do. And you know, now, what? Love you too.
Which one of us?
But you know, I boned up on it, but now I see Andy as Rick, you know, and you know, I see all of them as their characters, and it would be weird for me to go back and read the comic, you know, personally.
Yeah, no, well, that was one of my questions. So you don't, so you haven't gone back and
No, I mean,
just to make sure that
I'll
Daryl's
ask
not
like
in.
where we are, you know, in timeline to the comic or stuff like that. But you know, we're really good at mixing it up and you know, throwing people for a loop.
Yeah.
You know.
How many people in here read the comics and who are currently? All right, Robert Kirkman is smiling somewhere. Well, so then, what was it about Daryl Dixon that sort of drew you to the character? You know, what spoke to you?
I liked how he had such a chip on his shoulder, you know. And I remember like trying to, when I first came to set that, you know, on episode 3, that whole cast were already friends already, had already done publicity shots, they'd already bonded, and I was like this new kid, and I was like, how am I gonna play this right now? And what are you watching, porn or something? Did you hear that? It's like, I'm so busted right now. But I was thinking like, how am I gonna play this character? And everyone's friends, and I remember walking up to the Winnebago and, you know, Merle, we got squirrels, let's do them up, right? And I went just a crazy behind the stage, you know. So I do that and I turned around and I see all these new faces, and automatically, like, I felt like the odd guy, you know what I mean? Like, and that kind of turned into yell a little bit, turn away, don't see me tear up, yell a little bit, you know, and it kind of just naturally works. But I liked that about him. I liked how, I mean, the deal is like he was always going to be Merle. He was going to be Mini Merle, and he would have. It's like being trapped inside of a trap, you know. So, you know, I remember too. There was earlier scripts that had me taking drugs or saying racist stuff, and I was like, I want to be in Al-Anon. I don't want to be in Alcoholics Anonymous. You know what I mean? I want to have grown up with that and not been proud of that, you know? And now that that's out of the way, rest in peace, it gives him an opportunity to be the man that he never would have actually become if Merle was still around or this apocalypse didn't happen. So it just gives him all these reasons to, like an onion, to shed layers and be that good.
Yeah, no, well that's so, I mean that, you and I were trading some emails yesterday, and I'd asked you if you read the letter that Robert Kirkman wrote in the beginning of the comics, and for anybody who's been with the books from day one, there's this incredible, it's actually hard to find now because you can't find an original first issue of the comic without paying a whole lot of money, so if you're rich, have at it. But he writes this introduction that I said to you when we were emailing yesterday is the reason that I thought this would make a great TV show. So I'm just going to write a couple of excerpts and we'll talk about it. You just talked about Daryl changing. The whole thing is really ultimately about change. So Robert writes, I'm not trying to scare anybody. If that somehow happens as a result of reading this comic, that's great, but really that's not what this book is about. He says, to me, the best zombie movies are the splatterfest of gore and violence with goofy characters and tongue-in-cheek antics. Good zombie movies show us how messed up we are. They make us question our station in society and our society's station in the world. This is Robert writing probably in his basement in Kentucky, not having any idea if anybody would ever read this book. But that's sort of the North Star, isn't it, right? Like that's what The Walking Dead does. It strips away everything and then you find out who you really are. So who do you think Daryl, because Daryl started as this sort of feral, you know, angry, you know, sort of misanthrope, and he's not that anymore, you know.
He goes back to, I mean, my whole back looks like this. He is like that still, I've always said the same thing about that. Like, if you went in like an alley and there was like a coyote or something, it would snarl at you. Like, but if somehow you could get a little closer the next day and a little closer the next day and feed it and pet it, it would just stay here, and that's what you want. So I feel like that group and Rick and all those people, like, I'm here now, So, which I like. I mean, I like being that guy, but he snaps still, and he snaps even harder than he snapped over there, because he has something to fight for.
Yeah. No, it's been an amazing thing to watch, and I think everybody who was fans of yours from the beginning knew you're a great actor, but watching you move Daryl Dixon from that guy who pops out of the woods to to where he is now, not in a great place right now either, but we'll get back to that. But it's not the easiest life out there, but it's really been amazing to watch. So, which is a good segue to the game show portion of our afternoon. By the way, if you want to set up the mics in the aisle, that would be great. And then in a couple minutes, I'll just say in an orderly fashion, anybody wants to ask questions, but sit tight for a few minutes. I don't think we're there yet. So, I did take the liberty of reaching out to a few of our mutual friends, but your good friends who are involved in the show. And I just was curious what some of their favorite Daryl Dixon scenes would be. So I'm going to read you what they wrote me back. You'll take a quick guess as to who you think wrote it, and then we need some game show music. But then I want to talk about the scenes, because it's so fascinating to talk to these people who know the show so well and ask them what their favorite. All of them were hard pressed to pick a favorite, by the way. So, so here's the first one. I'd have to say one of the most powerful moments was discovering his brother Merle, killed by the governor and turned into a walker. The performance was heartbreaking to watch and mesmerizing at the same time. I want to take a wild guess as to who wrote that. You know him well.
Boy or girl?
The boy.
Steven.
No,
Cut.
that was from Greg Nicotero, who I know is somebody you've become very close with.
Who directed that, by the way?
Yep. So you mentioned Merle as sort of, a benchmark for your character changing, but that scene, was sort of, stunningly beautiful. I can't remember it frame by frame, but I think you shed some tears in that scene. Can you go back to that moment in the show and remember what it was like and what it was to shoot that scene, you and Mr. Brooker?
Yeah, that was. I remember reading that and going, this is gonna suck. This is gonna suck. And I was listening to Willie Nelson the whole time, because my dad used to love this Willie Nelson song. So I don't know, somehow it ended up in my head over and over. But even Rooker, like, as much of a tornado as that dude is,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
He's like the Tasmanian devil, I guess. But you remember the scene when he's about to go take out the governor himself, and he's like downstairs, he's ripping wires apart, he's gonna wrap up Michonne, and like that little bit where I'm like, I just want my brother back, and he's like, you can't look me in the face, and he's like all choked up, like, that's such good acting from him. That was one of my favorite things I ever saw him do. You have to be like super secure to do that, and he's a jokester and he's dangerous, but that's not that hard to do. But the other thing, to here's this and I'm following it and it's stuck here way too long, that sucks, and he's good at that. But I remember that day, and it turned into not just killing him, but like you're fighting the world, like it's the situation. You just got a raw deal, It was an emotional day. It was a real bummer.
Yeah, no, I mean, Daryl, clearly a character, with not only, some daddy issues, but also brother issues. Those scenes with you and Merle, particularly the one where you guys, find each other, out in the woods, and oh, well, actually, here, let's get to that one. So, and then you